Welcome to Teacher's Corner. I'm Daniela Easter, a teaching artist and art educator for Progressive Art for Progressive Kids. I was hoping today to show teachers, elementary school teachers in our area, a new product that has come out on the market that you may not be familiar with, but that has come to be a staple in my classroom. So the product I'm talking about are gel press plates. These are mono printing plates made out of a gel that can be used in the classroom as a tool. I use it as much as I use my brushes or my pencils or anything else. It's become that valuable in my classroom. So I wanted to demonstrate the product. When you first get the product, it comes in a plastic packaging that you keep because you can store your product in there, and it comes with plastic sheets on it. The ones that I'm going to be showing you today are very obviously used because I use them regularly in my classroom. And I do want to mention that the Gel Press Company, no one sent me these products. I bought them with my own money. I'm not sponsored by them or anybody else, so this is just my opinion that I'm giving about these products. But I've really come to appreciate the quality and what they can do and how they can enhance artistic learning within the classroom. So I'm going to be showing you how to use these gel plates with a brayer and some acrylic paints, and then some stencils, some texture tools, and then printing on plain copy paper and also printing on cardstock or construction paper or anything like that. Okay, so let's get started. So once my gel plate is lined up on my piece of paper, the papers that I am using to print with are also that size, so that the student can easily register or line up their prints. So this is how I set it up. I have my newsprint, my plastic, my paper underneath the plastic, and my gel plate on top. The first thing we do is we're going to drop some color. Now I'm using Liquitex soft body acrylics, and I'm going to just put a little bit of color. You don't need a lot. A little goes a long way. I happen to like the soft body acrylics. I'm going to put a couple dots of one color and a couple dots of another. And that's the wonderful thing, is that students can mix colors and it works really well. In fact, it's okay to get messy. So now I'm using a rubber brayer, a well-loved rubber brayer, and you're actually picking up and rolling and mixing in the colors, and they can be done in all sorts of different directions. So it's non-intimidating. Everyone loves rolling everything off and on. And then once you've got some color down, don't keep going because it'll become just one color, but you've got this wonderful area on the newsprint here that you're going to clean off your brayer. So what I teach the kids is we never want to leave the brayer with paint on it touching our newsprint. Instead, you roll it off. Isn't that gorgeous? I would save that. Roll it off and voila, it's clean. And then brayer side to the sky. And that's how we let it rest. So in the meantime, I've got this wonderful paint over here. Now I can print directly what I've printed. In fact, I'll do one to show you what it's like. So I'm getting a piece of manila tag paper, lining it up with the paper underneath. Then I use my hand in a circular motion. Whoops, I slid it around. Hand in a circular motion to press the paint. It slid because I probably have a little bit too much paint, but that's okay, because it'll allow me to have more than one print. Isn't that gorgeous? And so that's our background print. So we're going to keep this close by because we're going to be using it again. But obviously I have plenty of paint still on there, so I'm going to grab another piece of paper in a different color, different type of paper. The plate that I'm using is a 5x5. I have a little bit on here. If I want to, I can pull a ghost print. It's called a ghost print because you're not going to get a full print out of it, but I like to layer them and they become very interesting prints too. Okay, so whatever was wet came off. I keep this same sheet and I use it over and over and over again. But there's still paint left on the plate, but that's okay. Okay, so now that we've done one color, we're now going to go on with another color. I'm going to go to a darker blue. There, a little bit of dark, and this time I'm going to add it with the yellow. Now, if you're not crazy about your students squeezing out paints, they can put it on with a foam brush, no problem, and they can actually paint it on. So now again, we take our brayer, and it's lifting and rolling, lifting and rolling. If you just roll back and forth, it's just going to slide the paint. You want to lift and roll, and I put way too much paint. And this time, before we print anything, I'm going to put a stencil on it. And I'm going to use what I call an open stencil. So you see that the areas have quite large spaces, and it doesn't matter that it's bigger than the gel plate. I put that on kind of randomly. Now I'm going to go back to one of the prints that we did before. I'm going to line it up with that paper that's underneath again. Okay, and now because the stencil is there, I have to be a little bit more careful. I'm going to hold on to it so it doesn't slide too much. And then I have to push a little bit in with my fingertips in the nooks and crannies of the stencil. And what I'm doing is trying to pick up the darker paint that was going to come through the stencil. Okay? And you can always peek. You can hold it down with your hand and peek to see, and oh yeah, that looks great. So we pick that up to get our awesome stenciled print with the dark now right on top, mono printing, and it lined up pretty good with that paper underneath, but we're not done. Now we pick up our stencil, take that off, take another sheet of paper, the one that we had done before. We're going to line it up. Now we don't have the same one underneath, so it may not line up perfectly, but that's okay. And then we're going to pick up the ghost print of the stencil that's left behind. And peel it up, and voila. We're starting to get more and more complex of a print by layering the different layers on top. And now you've got the added texture that's going through it, okay? So now I've got my plate all dirty, and I don't care. I'm leaving it that way. I want that there, and even when I switch colors, I want that there. So now we're going to use some texture tools on the next colors that we do. Let me see if this is dry. Not quite yet. We're just wanting for it to dry. Okay. So now I'm going to take a little bit of orange. The paint that I'm using is just general student grade acrylic paint. And you can use different types of paint on here. I just want to do a thin one this time. This is fairly sheer. It's going to give a different type of effect. And hopefully it will pick up a little bit of that residue that was left underneath if I pressed hard enough. Some of it came up. There we go. So there's my background print. And now I'm going to try a little bit of white. So now we're changing the opacity. Try a little bit of white, and I'm going to add a touch of pink. We're just playing. And that's exactly what the kids will do too. The students will get a chance to try out different colors, and sometimes they're going to make mud, and that's okay. It's wonderful for teaching color theory as well. Complementary colors, how did you get that color? Now, because I've got a fair amount of pink and white on here, I'm actually going to texturize it before I do any more. So we have some wonderful tools to use. So I'm going to show you a few different types that the students can use that you've probably seen before, but now we're going to use it with the gel press plate. And so this one here, we're just going to draw. Okay, and again, this newsprint comes in handy. We just wipe off when our tool is done. This one over here, again, we're just going to draw. As they take off the paint, have them wipe it off. I like to encourage them to use the palm of their hand instead of their fingertips so that they're getting even coverage. They can always check by lifting up, and here we go. And you've got the squiggles that we put through, the orange is showing through, you've got the blue from the previous one, and you're ending up with complex prints, mono prints for the students to put together for their class quilt. Now I've got this residue behind. I take my ghost print again, and this is just to clean the plate. Oh, I love this even more. Oh my goodness, look how wonderful that turned out. Okay, that's magic. So when that happens, I love it. This is why I love these plates, because if you told a student to do this, how would they do it? But instead it happens, and you have these wonderful pieces that you can then later cut and add to your quilt or frame, or I've done this on fabric. It's versatile on so many different surfaces. Okay, so I wanted to just review real quickly some of the different materials and such that we used and where you can get them. So the gel press plates I get from Spectrum NASCO. I'll put a link in the description down below. You can see some of our final products here, absolutely beautiful complex prints. The brayers, the different tools that I use here, also available from Spectrum NASCO. It happens to be the supplier that I always go to. And I used Liquitex colored paints here. You can use a lot of things you probably already have in your classroom without having to buy more things. If you have any questions, feel free to email me and be happy to talk with you, or follow us at ProArt for Kids on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I welcome questions from any teachers. You do not have to be an art teacher, but if you have a question about this and the different techniques that can be used, I'd be happy to answer them. I've shown you just one. This is a tool. So just as you have a paintbrush and there's many different ways that you can paint, there's many different ways to use this tool, and I hope if there's enough interest, I'd be happy to show you some more techniques for your classroom. Thanks so much.